Felt like Elvira.
Hi guys, and a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne, Miss Angel Marie already has me laughing. So this week's episode, I'm excited to welcome to the studio Miss Angel Marie. Welcome.
Hi,
Hi
viewers.
yes. All right.
Or subbies.
Yes. I know subscribers, right? So we are going to have a fantastic show today. We're just going to be talking about some of the things that she does. And you thought I was busy, going to find out what busy is when we chat with this fabulous queen today. But I just want to do a couple of shout outs. I want to thank you guys so much for subscribing, for tuning in week after week. I do appreciate your support. For those of you who tuned in last week, we did a little bit differently. And this week, August, wow. April 11th through the 17th is Black Maternal Health Week. And last week we kicked it off with Dr. Krista Johnson and Bagu, Dr. Cherise Hamlin. We also chatted with Anaya Sanders, medical student, and Jacqueline Afraidy, who is a new mom. And we had a really great panel about disparities that still exist in Black maternal health care. And they've just had a wonderful kickoff at UMass, and just truly an important topic, an informative topic. So make sure that you tune in. We did lose the first 20 minutes, but tune in for the rest of it. So thank you all for sticking with us throughout. We are continuing the month of May with some phenomenal guests, and I have with me in the studio, as I mentioned, Miss Angel Marie, and she does one or two things, and we're going to talk about all that she does. So thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to Paul Anderson, my fantastic executive producer, who week after week brings us the show in audio, visual, and pictures and all of that. So stay tuned. We have the month of April, the month of May, and the month of June, and because the season will end at the end of June with so many phenomenal guests. And if you're interested in being a guest, hit us up. If you're interested in recommending guests, hit us up. And if you're interested in being a sponsor, hit us up. So I'm going to turn it over to my guest, because one of the reasons why we do this show is we're hoping to inspire, motivate, and empower you, the audience. So Miss Angel Marie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you
for
for this opportunity for visibility. Um, it's been interesting coming to Worcester from Boston. I just want to just point out that what you're doing here is very unique and important because creating a platform and having guests and giving people an opportunity to talk about what they do to a community of people to inspire them and to show examples of things that you don't even know are happening in your community. So that you're letting people know about resources, experiences, and opportunities. So I commend you on doing that. There's so many ideas that we have in our head that we don't execute. You and your husband are executing that, and what you're doing is a service to the community. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you so much. My goal is to always inspire others to pursue their dreams. So I'm hoping by me doing that, others will be inspired to pursue their dreams. So thank you so
And
much.
you do.
Well, thank you so much. So I want to talk about you, because we have a couple of businesses that we're going to talk about. So Miss Angel Marie, I think I first met you SJ Health and Beauty. That's one.
But the confusion comes in what we did. I feel that what we did is very innovative and different.
Tell me.
We're sister brands. We're
Okay.
mother and daughter, but we're sister brands. So
Marshalls and TJ Maxx.
right,
Right.
right. So what we do is she's SJ Health and Beauty LLC. I'm Not to Why Products LLC, and we sell on the e-commerce platform sjhealthandbeauty.com. It's almost like a Sally's brand, but you're buying Shea Moisture or whatever. You're buying other brands, but the platform sells both brands because my daughter has a different demographic than I do.
Absolutely.
I'm in my 50s and I'm selling to women who care about aging skin, and I also do hair care. So I formulate the hair and skincare for both of our brands, but she can be a better ambassador for her demographic, and she tells me what her demographic needs and is looking for in hair and skincare. And we have very different hair textures. So that's my their brand, and he also does jewelry. So the plan is eventually to bring on other family members selling like-minded products under the SJ Health and Beauty umbrella.
That's wonderful. I love that. I mean,
Thank
I
you.
did the same. I thought with the Positively Suzanne brand, there's a lot of different things. There's the show, there's the podcast, there's the merchandise,
Right,
there's all these different things instead of having multiple. So I kind of like that. And,
mhm,
TJX does the same thing.
right.
Under the TJX umbrella, there's Marshalls, there's TJ Maxx.
There's
But
another one
then
too.
they
I just
have,
can't
no,
remember
they
that.
have five. They have Home Goods, Home Sense, and they have Sierra Trading Post.
Right,
So there's
exactly.
five brands under that umbrella. So,
Right, I
I
love
mean, we
that.
got to think big. So I
Right, we
love
do.
that. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, yeah.
And that's the first experience I had with you. I think
Mhm.
I met you at an event.
Yep.
And then I know Nataiwi, Health and Beauty. And then you also do Miss Angel's Cake. Miss
Yeah,
Angel
Mrs.
Cake.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
My boyfriend actually gave me that name because it was just Cupcake Angel Marie,
Yeah.
and he changed it to Miss Angel Cake. So shout out to my boyfriend. But
Shout out.
but yeah, so I'm a very I don't want to say eclectic, but I'm a very random person.
Hmm.
And so when we started doing pop-ups in like 2019, I don't even remember why I wanted to bring cupcakes because I didn't have a strong like, love of baking.
Hmm.
My mother, and it's just so funny how gifts that are buried or dormant in us don't get activated. And you don't know when it's going to
Something
happen.
kicks it out. There's a
Right.
catalyst always.
My mother begged me to be in the kitchen when she was baking. She was known for elaborate
Mm-hmm.
cakes. She was doing very innovative things for back in the 70s and the 80s. She was doing things that people weren't doing. She was making these gigantic 3D cakes and she would send them for us for school. She would make like puppets and like decorate the house with all kinds of stuff. She was doing things and adding lights, things that people weren't doing. And so my mother was doing everything from fixing pipes and minor electrical work. She was like a Jill of all trades. So I grew up seeing that. I wanted no parts of it. I didn't want it. I wasn't interested. And I always felt that I wasn't very good at baking. And then just one day, um, we decided to bring cupcakes to an event. And I'm very big on branding.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way that my cupcakes allowed me to create my own signature and to coordinate like John Witherspoon. I'm a coordinate. I want
Coordinate. You
right. Right, I'm coordinating
Yes, yes.
to the a sickening level or degree. I'm going all in. So what I did was actually I'm thinking about this now. I remember what triggered this off. So in 2019, before the pandemic,
Mm.
we had our first pop-up, me and my daughter. It was just us. We didn't have other brands. We had our first pop-up at JMac,
Mm.
and we had such a dismal turnout.
Mm.
But we always look at stuff like that, our first pop-up as a dry run. You're learning, you get content, so you have all your stuff set out. Yes, you didn't get the turnout that you wanted. It's a lot of time and money invested, but we had everything set up beautifully. We executed everything well, so we knew what worked, what didn't work. And one of the things that I did with our brand, my logo used to be a hummingbird.
Mm.
And so I made a cacao hummingbird
Okay.
and put it on top of the cupcake. So I tied the cupcakes into the fact that we had a cacao butter body butter.
Mm-hmm.
So we had products that coincided with the theme of our cupcakes, and that kind of kicked that off. And then one day we had a pop up in Taunton, and I said, you know what, let me bring cupcakes. And so I color coordinated it to some products, and it was such a big hit that it just evolved
It
from
took
there.
off.
Yeah, and so then eventually I ended up doing cakes and cupcakes, and I learned that I was good at something that I never had an interest or passion for, and I developed a passion for it.
Mm.
And I really think that that's something that I inherited from my mother. Like the creativity,
Hmm.
and I got to execute that. So that was fun.
All right, wonderful. Let's go back to the very beginning. Like,
Hmm.
how did you know that you wanted to go into health and beauty before? Just got the history of the cupcakes.
Hmm.
So, how did you start? Because you said you started doing the pop-ups in 2019,
Hmm.
and I'll be very honest, I didn't really start going to pop-up in 2019. I was
Right.
so busy working. So, pop-ups were just starting
Yeah.
out
Hmm.
in that time. So, what was the catalyst for that? Like, how did you get into health and beauty? And then we can talk a little bit about why you started pop-ups.
That's thank you for that question. That's a good question because my origin story is
Yes. Let's talk. Origin.
origin story
Yeah.
is so okay, so even before 2019,
Mm,
as early as I want to say 2009, I have dibbled and dabbled in skincare.
mm.
I didn't do hair care. I did body oils. I had a company called
You could say
organically orgasmic oils. Don't ask. Listen, it was a I.
it's organically orgasmic oils.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
so it was a bunch of oils, and I did a few lip tints and stuff. And I did a little bit of branding. I dabbled and dabbled, and I also at that time worked in behavioral health.
Mm,
I loved research. I
mm,
loved like learning about natural things that could help you mentally and physically. I ended up doing research on things on topics that somehow segued back into health and beauty, but I it took me down a rabbit hole of research, which I love. So the research I ended up doing about, in terms of the kids I was working with and understanding the issues that they were, the behavioral health issues that they were having, and trying to figure out how to best support the families and the children, and giving parents information that they need to help their kids and stuff. And then that took me down the rabbit hole of nutrition, and then nutrition, learning about nutrition. Then you start learning about things that benefit the body. So way back in like 2009 or whatever, I was dibbling and dabbling in that, and but then I was also working. But I didn't really get into skincare and hair care until early 2019. I actually had a dream about a brand, right? So I had a dream about a brand, but it was skincare, had nothing to do with hair care. Fast forward, my sister, who has autism and she has some other behavioral health and health issues, ended up coming to live with me. And she needed a full time caretaker. So ended up being her full time caretaker, and she ended up living at home with us. And when she used to always visit, and I would see her, but I didn't fully understand how bad her skin issues had gotten. She had severe psoriasis. I always knew she had eczema, but she lived in residential care. She lived with our mom for most of her life, but then her behaviors became so challenging, my
mhm,
mom couldn't manage it at home.
mhm,
So then the next step was for her to live with us, one of my sisters. So she came to live with me. And so then I got to see just how bad her skin had gotten.
mhm,
She had eczema in her scalp. She had psoriasis, a lot of dandruff, which is, a symptom of other things. And again, there's the research, understanding your gut and the
mhm,
bacteria and how deficiencies like mineral deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies affect your hair. So when my sister came to live with me, she had the skin issues, and she was almost completely bald. She had so many patches.
mhm,
And she had so much inflammation in her scalp. Um and so what people were doing at that time was just like, putting a wig on her. But my sister, we're most alike in the sense of our vanity.
mhm.
Sister, even though she has her challenges and stuff, she's very much aware of
How she looks.
how she's not a fool.
She wants
Because
to.
I'm not,
Yeah.
you can't just ignore that. If you care about someone, you love someone, and you see their suffering,
Mm,
whether it's their skin, their hair, their mental health, whatever it is, you should be inspired to, if you can't help them, find someone else who can help them. So I ended up researching ways to heal her scalp, and in turn, oh, okay, went down the wrong way.
Oh my God.
You okay?
Go on.
So
I mean, I'm just dying over here.
yeah, I gotta be more like Beyonce. Just keep the show.
No.
Going. Okay. So so I ended up researching things to help her. And I started with the scalp and I documented it all because I said,
Mm.
everybody is selling snake oil.
Yeah.
Everyone has a magic potion.
Mhm.
Everybody's, I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted to document what I was doing because I wanted to see if it was because I didn't know.
Mm.
And it's not like I had ever did that before. So I literally documented myself making the recipe.
Mm.
I still have my very first bottle of hair growth oil. It was called SHO Super Hair Oil. And our super hair oil grew back Sister Vanessa's hair, and she ended up becoming our ambassador. We had a T-shirt. She's on our website, and so all these years later, her hair is still healthy and flourishing. But if she stops using it,
Mhm.
some of those issues start coming back. But
Mhm.
you get to see the transformation. I also helped calm down the inflammation in her
Mhm.
skin. But through the research, I learned that, eczema is not a topical issue.
Mhm.
It's it's an autoimmune disease.
Mhm.
So people who are claiming that they can, like, oh, this cream is gonna, cure your eczema. It's coming from within. It's an issue in your gut.
Mhm.
So I learned so much that I was able to take that and help my sister and then help other people. And so that's how I came to have that passion for hair as well as skincare. But I always had the interest or the
Mhm.
background in the skincare.
All right, and it was personal to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
definitely wanted to make sure that your sister was comfortable because seeing somebody itchy and scratching scalp and
Hmm.
skin like that must have been just really sad for you to witness and terrible
Yeah,
for
it was
her.
very,
Yeah.
our crown. That's biblical. It's
No,
very important to us.
listen.
It's a sign of. It's not just a sign of your outward beauty, but impacts your confidence and stuff. And for
Mhm.
people to feel like, just because someone has a disability or that they're
Mm.
not aware that
Yeah.
the hair is falling out is ridiculous. So I'm a solver.
Mhm.
If there's an issue, I love to research. I
Mhm.
love to try to solve a problem,
Mhm.
even if it ain't my own personal problem. I annoy my kids by getting involved. I'm that person. Like, don't be in earshot. Me, my daughter
Like,
talking.
tell me the
No,
problem. Like,
right, my daughter's on the phone talking to her friend about something. I'm like, what happened? Not just because I'm nosy, because I'm like, what you need to do is call the Attorney General's office, and then she's just like, here we go.
she's like, ma,
Please,
like, yeah,
yeah,
no,
please.
yeah, no, it's not just you. All teens are like that, and
Right,
when they get to a point, they're like, okay, mom, like, I don't need you to fix it. I'm like, then don't tell me.
right. Don't let me hear it. Nobody's telling me. Don't even let me hear it.
Okay. All right, cool. So there's where the passion started and all that.
Hmm.
So when did you start doing pop-ups and why did you start pop-ups? Because again, that was very unique because I worked in retail for a very long time and it was always brick and mortar. And
Hmm.
I remember a couple years ago when like pop-ups started. I mean, it was so unique. It was new. I think I remember, but it was also mostly food pop-ups.
Hmm.
And then I just pop-ups started coming around, and then even major brands started doing pop-up
Hmm.
and folks were doing that. So like, how did you get into that?
Well, it goes back to, if you see a need, if you have a need and you're trying to solve your own problem. So we're from Boston, and when I lived in Boston, and like you said, no one was doing pop-ups. It wasn't an inclination. I'm not a pioneer of pop-ups. Never had heard of it. A pop-up is when you show up to someone's unannounced. No. My mother was very much against
Yeah,
that. Don't
it's put it
It's
down.
intrusive.
Like when it shows up, you're like,
Listen,
oh,
my mother has left me on the porch. Did you call? No, you did not. Don't come over here.
no, it's just such a weird thing. It doesn't matter how close you are to the person.
No, we
Like,
don't. We don't do that.
like
Our family, we don't play
we
that.
don't
We don't say.
pop up. I did like. My best friend Marianne, she's Brazilian, and I remember during the pandemic when we were shut down, we weren't going anywhere, and then and then one day, like she called me on the phone and she was like, "Come outside." I was like, "Okay."
Right?
So then I went outside and she was out there and she had the with her kids. So we didn't go next to each other.
Right. Just
But
a human contact.
human
Came.
so
Yeah.
it was the cutest
That
thing
was
because like they
touching.
were
Yeah.
walking on the street and like we were in the yard and we were like,
That was a thing in the pandemic. That was normal.
pop up. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Okay.
nice. It still touched me, but like, yeah, don't yell.
Don't do it.
But anyway, back to you and your pop ups.
So being from Boston, Dorchester girl, my whole life. Yes, but there was right. So there was opportunities to connect with community. But here in Worcester, maybe I just haven't gotten the hang of Worcester. I've been in Worcester since 2019. So at this point, I've adopted Worcester. When I go back to Boston, it's jarring. But
Yeah.
it's too much, But again, there were opportunities. There were people there that you can connect with, that you knew where to connect with. You could get foot traffic. It's really not that type of setup here. Obviously, Worcester's a much bigger city. It's different, and culturally, we couldn't connect. We didn't have family here. We didn't have friends here, and so we're launching this brand. I don't remember how I heard of. I do know how I heard about pop-ups. I was researching places to have like a venue to have I didn't know what I was calling it, but to sell our stuff, to have an event, a launch. What I was trying to do was have a brand launch, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going back in my mind.
No, that's all right.
So I was trying to have a brand launch, and I went and I found JMac, right? And at the time, JMac was offering community events for free, so you could
Still do.
Okay, so that's how I did it. So I ended up seeing that they had the term pop up. And so I was like, okay, I guess that's what this is. So and that's how that happened. So I had cupcakes that said pop up, and they promoted it and all that kind of stuff. So that was the first pop up. And it didn't go as well as we had hoped. But again, it gave us the content for our website. 'Cause our website was launching shortly thereafter. So we were selling products, on our website, and then pop-ups as they grew in popularity. There weren't really any here in Worcester. So we always ended up having to go to, and that's sadly still the case. It's a very far and few between of in-person events to sell your products with a reasonable vendor fee. I've even hosted pop-ups to be able to provide that, but it's a lot of work, a lot of energy and expense. But now, because things economically are changing and people have flooded the market with the concept of pop-ups, people are less able and willing to attend pop-up events. If the sole purpose of your pop-up is to sell people goods, I think the consumer's mind has shifted away from, I'm just going to go out to some market and buy a bunch of stuff, when people are struggling to pay their bills and stuff. So I think we have to pivot now. So like when you have an event like you did with I Got You Sis, right? The purpose of that event was not to sell people products. The purpose of that event, it was sisterhood, support, encouragement, information, right? And as a side note, the side dish was, we got a few vendors, and that's how you have to do it. You have a few vendors, but you have the focus to be something else, and that's what I tried to do in the pop-up that I hosted too. It's like people aren't out like that for pop-ups like they used to be.
No, you're right. It has completely shifted. So now it's like pop up with a purpose, right?
Right.
It's like you have something, so there has to be an additional draw because again, there's Amazon. We're consistently competing with Amazon and Shein and Temu and all those places, and I think
and people are pinching their pennies.
They are,
rightfully so.
They are, because things are expensive. So they think like, okay, I'll buy this, and and I think the thing about a small vendor is it's like you cannot sell at cost, or like, or below cost, because again, you end up undervaluing your product, undervaluing your time, and you end up like going in bankruptcy if you consistently do that. Because it's like, that's why I would say to people, that's why a small business owner, their product are more expensive, because again, they're not able to buy in bulk. You take, for instance, like, a Walmart or something, they could buy in bulk. So when they buy thousands of pieces, they get it for pennies on the dollar, right? But for
Right.
us, small business, you can't buy,
Right.
thousands, pounds of something. So you have to buy smaller quantity. The price point is higher, so you have to charge a higher price point.
Mhm.
And sometimes, most of the time, small business are not even charging for their labor.
No,
They're just
no, I know
charging.
I don't. I
Exactly.
can't.
You
I'm not in
can't
a
fit it
position
in
to do
there
that,
yet. Like,
right?
we're not in a position. So I get it. And I think just with the shifting of pop-ups right now, you're right. Like, I go to a conference and there are the vendors. You go to another event and there's vendors. You're whatever it is. And I actually kind of like that.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. So I know, like, the Village Worcester does, like, the marketplace.
Yes.
And they do that every second Saturday, or every second Saturday. And and it's a straight marketplace. And I love that. But I think they're one of the only ones
Yeah,
that
consist like, I'm glad you brought that up because
consistently does that.
yeah, they are. Yeah. So the thing what makes what I do a little bit more challenging is I do not work on the Sabbath. So I don't work on Saturdays.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, okay.
so I've had to create events that I can,
Mhm.
respect the Sabbath and, adhere to that. So finding an event on a Sunday is a unicorn. So you either have to create that, and it's interesting is that here we are on the heels of Mother's Day, and I don't see the advertising
Mm.
for the pop-ups like you did a year ago.
You're correct.
You see,
You're
you
correct.
don't see it.
You don't. And so I had a Mother's Day brunch, and I know for those of you who are asking, no, I'm not having the Mother's Day brunch this year. It's a lot of work that goes into
Yes,
it,
yes.
to create an event. Even working with a hotel, from choosing the decor to choosing, like, everything. And I think last year, and a lot of times, I will tell you, small business owners, again, when we do things, I mean, the first couple of years, sometimes there's no profit. Like,
No.
you break even and you're excited.
Right, right,
You
right,
just
right,
want to break even. You don't want to be
right,
in the
right,
hole,
right,
right?
right.
And last year was a lot of work and things like that. But this year, I decided I really wanted. I enjoyed catering to the mothers. And this year, I was like, I definitely want my kids. Last year, I wasn't with my kids because, again,
Right, right,
I was set up during the event and then after, so I want to be with my kids this
right.
year. But I was looking, I'm like, there's not really a lot
I'm noticing
happening
I'm
on
very
Mother's
cognizant.
Day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
there is
cognizant of
not.
that.
And I
Yeah.
thought about doing something the
Mhm.
Saturday, but you're
Me,
like, again, the Sabbath. Like, so, and I had an idea, but again, like, a lot of times when you're not the only one controlling everything, like, if
mhm,
you're looking for something external draw, and then you have to coordinate with them. And then, let's say, for instance, you want to do, because I've always loved the idea of, like, having a spa day, right?
mhm.
So when you think about having a spa day, because I thought that would be great, but when you think about having, like, a spa day and, just coming and getting pampered, you have to think of the people that you have to pay to
Right,
come in to
right.
do this. Because, again, if you bring people in, let's say it's a traditional pop-up, right? And you bring people in and then they're going to have to pay for a manicure and a pedicure and a massage
It
and
adds
a
up.
facial, they're not going to do that.
Right,
But if you create one set price,
right.
then they might buy that.
Mhm,
Okay, fine. But then you have to start thinking about the vendors that you're bringing in and what they're going to charge you.
mhm,
So if one is charging, like, if everybody's charging and it adds up, then what do you charge the client? So
mhm.
I think I think, and as certain things prices raise up, I think that's why we're seeing less and less, because it doesn't work out. You're not even breaking even.
Yeah, it
It
doesn't.
just doesn't.
No, my daughter Sarah Joy and I were talking about the possibility of doing a Mother's Day event, and this year is special for us. And I don't really uphold holidays, but I do acknowledge moms and dads and stuff like that. So, but this is the first year without our mom, and so I was like, oh, maybe we could do something where it's an event for moms and memorials,
Mm,
right? Because I'm very like
and I've
yeah,
seen that.
yeah, that would be very
It
unique.
would
And
be.
so what I wanted to do is there's a very good like studio couple, a Black and Hispanic couple, modern party art, and they're in Canton in Boston, I guess. Um, and they have an art studio and they do paint and sips and they do all
Mm,
kinds. It's a beautiful venue, but it's difficult having events in certain places because there's plenty of parking, but there's no foot traffic. You know how that goes, So
yeah.
if you have an event, you have to worry about visibility. It's in the cut. Nobody visually looking at the building, you wouldn't know what was in there. So great building inside, free parking, perfect. accessible to Boston, perfect, but it's not visual. So then you know, if you're gonna do the paint and sip moms and memorials, what I wanted to do was have an event where mothers and daughters or mother figures could come together and paint something, and then people who had lost their parents could do a memorial painting. So it'd be like a guided painting, something therapeutic. I thought that would be beautiful because at the end of the event, the person who had lost a mom would have like a painting or something tangible to take with them so you're memorializing that person. So I was like, oh, it's a great idea. I'm thinking of how to brand it, but then comes to reality, like cost, right? So even if like, oh, my daughter's like, well, the vendor fees. So like, listen,
Doesn't make it up.
it doesn't make it up, and then the people who are coming have to buy tickets. So you're paying up front as
Always.
so if you're planning for 20 people to come, then you're paying that cost up front, and then you're sweating bullets. Are people going to buy the tickets? And then what's going to happen? It's a wonderful idea.
Like the tea party, and it's just like, and if even Eventbrite that used to be free, they changed their thing now.
Oh,
It's like anything over 25 tickets, you have to like either
they want to cut.
pay for the year, and not only that, because they charge a fee. And when I used to do tickets, I would have, like I would absorb the cost of ticket fees from Eventbrite, but I can't do that anymore. But then Eventbrite charges you a fee if you have more than 25 tickets for your event. So I think it's like $9 per event, or you pay an amount per the year. It used to be free, so everything is shifting and changing. So you're right, and I think a lot of times, folks don't realize. They're like, oh, okay, it's just simple, but then you have to pay the space, and the space is one of the most expensive things that I've come across.
Right.
And then if you're having food, that's a different thing.
Right.
And again, it depends. So like, and you can't charge the vendors $200-$300.
No, you can't.
Like,
No,
because
no.
again, if you're thinking from helping the people from a small business mindset, like
Right.
make their table feed and make some profit.
Reasonable.
That's why
Right.
I was
Right.
checking. I was just like, okay, are you guys doing good? And things like that, because like you don't
Because and if you're a good,
you don't want
if you're a
somebody.
good person, if you're
Yeah.
not just if you're, I shouldn't say if you're a good person, but if you're a person who has empathy and and you're a professional person, I can tell that you're a lot like me, like you're emotionally and professionally invested, right? Because it's your brand. How I put things on and how I brand things and how I execute it is very important to me.
It is.
Even if no one else is aware of
They
these
don't get the
nuances,
vision.
you don't gotta get it. I
They
get
don't
it.
gotta get it.
I get it. I
You
have my
get
own. I'm setting my own standard, so it
You
doesn't
get
matter what other people do or don't do.
Get it.
And like you're always getting, oh, you're so extra. Da, da, da. But no, it's my personal standard. So when I had my vendors, my main purpose, because I could empathize as a vendor. I can't afford $150 for a table, and maybe or $100 for a table, and the people. I'm also a very realistic person. The people hosting this event have no. You can promote
Yeah.
as much as you want. That's not gonna mean that people show. People don't show. There's any number of reasons why people don't turn up, right? And it's not personal, right? People got their own stuff going
And
on.
you hit it right there. It is not personal. And I think a
No.
lot of times, again,
Nobody's supporting me. Like, cut it out.
it's not, and it's not that. Yeah, they're true haters. And I learned this word the other day.
I'm not on that level yet. I don't got none of those.
My daughter is like cringing right now because they're like straight up drinking haterade. She's like, please don't. Yeah, I know. We heard it on a show the other day, and I'm like, I'm gonna use that.
I'm gonna one up you.
Yeah, tell me.
I got ops.
You got.
So that's how my son is in his 20s.
Okay.
And if you call someone an op,
yeah,
they're like, it's like a new way of saying hater. Like, oh, my ops are gonna be there. Yeah. Another level. Okay. Cafe. Say that to your kids, and they might put you out the house.
Listen, love to use things in her because she'd be like, "Mom."
Yeah, if you ever want them to stop saying something, that's all you gotta do.
Like, yeah, we got ops.
I did. Yeah. So ADD, I be all over the.
I do it to crack them up because I have a good time. I enjoy my kids, but I think you hit it right on the head, and I think like a lot of times we do tend to take things personal. So here's the thing: it's personal and it's not personal because it's like somebody not supporting you. There's any number of factors. Sometimes people are broke.
Right. And I'm trying to announce it. Amazon is getting broke. Amazon is laying off people. So why am I ashamed to say that business is changing? Right.
Sir, just have supporting you. They just don't have the money.
Or they're being intentional about their spending.
Like there's rent and car payment and all of these necessary things, right? And then the other thing, there's a lot of things that are happening.
Yes,
There's a lot of things that are happening in one day. And you have to choose, and for whatever reason, we do different things. We all have jobs, we have commitments, we have family, we have friends, we have boards that we're on. And so like 25th of April, that's my dad's birthday.
Okay.
My dad passed away a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
And ever since then, I have declined all invitation on that day.
Right.
And it's next week, and I've gotten several invitations, and I'm thinking about it, and I've said to those people, I'll let you know. And like for me, and I don't stay home and cry and whatever, but I don't know how I'm going to react in that moment. So I know that the past couple of years, his birthday has always hit me hard. So I intentionally, like somebody not knowing that, like, why can't she come and support? That's why, because it's not that I'm not ashamed of getting emotional, but I like to be surrounded, my husband, my kids, my safe space.
People who understand and know.
Exactly.
Right.
But I also don't need to tell everybody that.
No, and feeling and it's a sign of maturity and I don't know, emotional intelligence to understand that you don't have to explain.
You don't.
And you shouldn't feel obligated to always right. I'm sorry, I can't. Or just I can't.
Yeah.
Or no, like you said, no. And just being, and I also think it's a good habit, especially if you're someone who's known, like, and I feel like you are a persona now, like you're very visible, you're a striking person, and now you have this reputation of always supporting, always being there. It's actually a good practice to say no, even if it's not for a particular important reason. It's to let people know that you're not always accessible. Like there are times when you're not going to get Suzanne, and you're not going to know why.
Girl,
you just ain't gonna get her.
You're going to be advanced.
I'm even
too.
Right.
See me and think, oh, she's at a lot. And I do believe that I'm at a lot on support because I like to show up for folks. But it's just like then, I have my husband time and I have my time and I have my time with my kids and my other commitments and things like that and my job. I got to get paid and, all of that. But I do say no to a lot of things. It's just because, as you said, I'm so visible. Like it seems like
you seem ubiquitous.
Talking to somebody yesterday, she's like, "Oh, by the way, I heard you on the radio," and I was like, "Oh, what program?" I don't know. I'm like, "I don't know this is part that." You tell me. I do say a lot. She did. I'm like, "Did you watch it?" She's like, "Yeah, listen." But I do say no, because my me time is important. But I read something a while back, and it's by this author, Lovey Ayayi Jones. She wrote "Professional Troublemaker," and she said. And I thought it was so poignant. She said, we center ourselves in other people's lives so much. So, like, say, for instance, if you post something on social media, I think it's about me.
Right.
If I call you and you don't respond, I think it's about me. No matter what happens, we think it's about you. And sometimes, like most of the times, it's not even about you because so I don't so I'm like the complete opposite. If you wrote something on social media, even if it's about me, I don't think it's about me because I'm thinking I'm not that important in your life and I shouldn't be. And again, if I call you and you don't respond, I figure like, and this happens to me sometimes, I mean to respond and I forget, so I don't center myself in somebody's life that much where I think every single thing that they do is about me. So if they don't come to something that I put on, I don't think they're intentionally opping me.
Right. You know, stop that. No, go
They
ahead.
have a legitimate reason
Right.
that has nothing to do
It's
with
resonating
me.
with something that's not on your radar.
Exactly.
Something is resonating with
Yeah.
you that I said or did,
Yeah.
and there are certain people that can build a story
Mm.
around any number of things.
Jesus.
You know, I think Carly Simon said it best. She said, "I bet you think this song is about
Exactly.
you." Yeah.
We've got to stop doing that, though. We consistently think everybody's issue, or it's about you, and it really
Mhm.
it could be, but it
Right.
really isn't. So I like your idea. And I truly intentionally believe in that, and that's how I truly try to live my life. Like, if they're not supporting me, there's a reason. And if
Right.
they're truly an op, or if they're truly a hater, then
I don't delve into
that's their
no,
issue
I
to
don't.
deal with. That
No.
is, you need to work on you.
Right.
Like, I
I'll
can't.
never know about
Thank
it.
you. Exactly. Because I told Manny once, I don't have because I don't have time to go down that negative path.
Yeah, when you hear and then if you're an introspective person
Mm,
and you hear people talk about that energy,
mm,
these things that are happening in their life, and it seems like they are constantly encountering haters or
yeah,
ops or whatever it is, and there may be some validity to it,
there
but it
is.
becomes a self-fulfilling
It
prophecy.
does.
Like you start seeing trouble all around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's out to get you, and it may be some legitimate truth to that.
Absolutely.
But if that's what you see, just like if you see promise and success and hope
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, then that's what comes to you.
Mm.
And sometimes, I'm not saying that I don't get in my own head and stuff.
We do.
Like, if you want, 'cause I can be an awfulizer,
Mm-hmm.
thinking worst case scenario,
Mm-hmm.
awfulizing, oh, what if this happens? And those things, those behaviors and mindsets serve me sometimes well in my business
Mm-hmm.
because I'm planning and I'm thinking ahead of
Mm.
problems, right? I'm strategizing, I'm forecasting. Oh, well, what if that happens? So I'm gonna have an answer for this, this, and
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm thinking far ahead, but that's because I can be an awfulizer. I'm thinking about what if this goes wrong and what
Mm.
if that, and then getting being able to turn away from that and rely on your faith and rely on God and trusting and believing that if something is for you, it's for you. If it's God's will, it will
Mm.
be accepting that and then believing what I prayed for, as
Mm.
long as it's His
Mm.
will. If
Amen.
if what I prayed for is meant to be, then it's going to be delivered to me. And stop worrying because you can't have faith
Mm.
while you worry. That's been something that I've really been working on. And it's hard as a brand to not compare as human because you see other brands and like you were talking
Absolutely.
about consumers not understanding why your price is the way it is. I can think of a perfect example is what I've had to do is arm myself. And that goes back again to being an awfulizer. Well, if someone's balking at the price of my lotion, I need to, as a brand, be able to explain to them what the value is,
Mm.
why that Jergens for $7.99 in
Mm.
a 64-ounce tub is not a better value than my
Mm.
8-ounce that costs $20. And here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's jarring, but as a brand, you need to be able to justify, not because I took the time and I work hard. Nobody cares
Mm.
about that.
No.
They need to understand what's unique and special about your ingredients, what sets me apart from other brands. What have I done differently that Jergens doesn't? Jergens is 80% water.
Mm.
My products are butter based. My products
Mm.
have hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, have bamboo, have all kinds of things, cocoa butter,
Mm.
castor oil, like all kinds of things that are going to serve you better. So the amount of my lotion you need and the reapplying of that Jergens all day is not getting you anywhere. Your
Mm.
skin's not no more hydrated.
Mm.
You think you're getting more. It's marketing. You
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're getting a value, but
Mm.
they're giving you water so you can keep purchasing it. You buy my $20 lotion and it's going to last you. You
Mm.
might be able to pass that down to your grandkids
Mm.
because you're only using a small amount and you're getting a value.
Mm.
But that Jergens has you feeling, yeah, I'm getting a lot of
Mm.
product for $7.99. And here you go back at the store again,
Mm.
buying your water over and over and over again. And so explaining to consumers what makes us different is very helpful, but it doesn't always
Doesn't always
just
work.
no, it
That
doesn't.
doesn't, because
Okay, that's not
because
exactly. That's
you
what
know,
it's from brand familiarity. And you having your retail background, you
absolutely.
understand it.
That's
It's not always about value.
what I did, for so very long. And not only that, sometimes that's truly all they can afford. Like,
Exactly.
they're used to it. They're not willing to give up something that they've used before.
The familiarity.
Exactly. I mean, I worked in skincare for a large brand, and I learned a lot about skincare because they were very good on teaching. But I knew that there was a lot of very expensive body lotions that doesn't moisturize.
Right.
You smell good,
Right.
but you're not being moisturized, like, and it's expensive. So I get it. I believe me, it's that push and pull, and then just being able to explain the reasons behind the price, and they either accept it or they don't. They
Right, and respecting. Like I hear so many. Me and my daughter used to talk about this all the time. Hearing other, it goes back to that not taking things personally. Like as a brand, you have to be able to accept the fact that you're not for everybody. Just like in life, you're not
Nope.
for everybody. Everyone is not your consumer.
No.
And you don't need to know why. Like I was like, oh, I'm not like going to try to. I don't want. So let me put it this way: if you got $20 to spare, and I'm selling you something for $20, I don't want you. That's just how I am as a person. I don't want you spending your last $20 on my lotion. I would rather you not. I'm not going to try to tell you, oh, girl, wait for a sale. It's not that I'm not that driven to get the sale. I want to find my consumer. And if this is a luxury buy, you're trying to pamper yourself, that's different. That's for you. That's your finances for you to decide. It's not my role to help you decide whether you can afford it or not. But I don't take it personal. There's plenty of people who see our products or maybe are overwhelmed or a little disbelieving that we actually make this stuff or whatever the case is. There's people do say no. And those are not my consumers. And so I don't consume myself with why didn't they buy? It just didn't work out. And then I've had people who come back over and over again who tell other people about our products and stuff. But it's really about being able to respect and accept why your consumer may or may not be able to purchase. And people get so invested and take it so personal. Well, I worked hard on this and I do this and I do that. But what does that got to do with that
They
person?
don't
Like
care.
what?
Like, they don't care. Give me my lotion, man.
I do anything. They don't need to care about that. You need to find your opportunity and you need to find your consumer. And that's really what it comes down to. And it's hard sometimes as a brand to not compare yourself to
Absolutely.
other people who are out there scamming and jamming.
Yeah.
And then you see them blowing up. But I look at it also like, if I said this to my daughter, there were some products that had they have sold
Mm.
when we first launched them, it would have been a problem because there were issues. We have a 30-day testing phase of testing our products, but this product probably needed 40 days.
40 days.
Right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So there were issues in the beginning, in the beginning of our brand, the things that I just didn't know. I was figuring things, and I don't want nobody to be my test on me. So there were things that like, okay, that butter set up, but it was still grainy, and I don't ever want to give a person a product, even if I've never had a bad review. Praise God, and I
Praise
hope to
God.
never have one. But I look back and I say, Sarah, imagine if what we thought we wanted, we prayed to be sold out. What if that product that just kept separating, was sitting in someone's house, and someone else sees it like, what in the world is that? And then that's what they
Exactly.
remember about your product. Now I can go on the shelf into the store right now and I see products separating, and you have to shake it up. But because you don't have that brand recognition and trust, like people are not going to look at it as that's a normal thing. It is a normal thing, but visually speaking, you don't have the credibility to be doing stuff like that. You're not on that level. You're not Shea Moisture. You're not Jergens. You're not Johnson and Johnson. So you can't afford to have those visual issues, things that are just normal with chemistry and stuff. You have to always be thinking, okay, I need this product to look good and be good. I'm cognizant of that. So I'm like, okay, we can't afford those types of slip-ups. So I mean, and then as the time went on, I later perfected that particular recipe for a hairspray, and it ended up being one of our best sellers. But had it have sold out
at the beginning,
I thought that was a good recipe. I would have settled for what that was because I wouldn't have thought nothing was wrong with it. But at the end of the pop up, I remember we were packing the stuff up, and I'm just like, this looks crazy. This looks crazy. I wouldn't buy this.
Yeah.
And my mother would say, that old slop. I would not buy that. So I was like, that made me go back to the drawing board. And there's been so many instances of that that have triggered other products. Like there's been so many products that didn't go the way we intended, and then it evolved into something. We have probably hair and skincare together. We probably for such a small brand, and you just forget how great you are and how good God has been because you're so busy being on to the next one. But we have a line of probably 30 to 40 products combined, from lip care to hair care to skincare combined, that labels, professional, FDA approved packaging. Like we started off very strong. Like we really devoted the time and energy to presenting a really good image and making sure we held ourselves to professional standards. Like we had very high standards. My daughter is a business major, Sarah Joy, and so she has her small business degree, master's degree. And so we put, her to work.
Put it to work.
Right, we put it to work. And in my experience with making skincare and stuff, and my love of research and stuff, we put out a very high end product. That was always the goal. We always took very good quality control standards, hair nets, gloves, aprons. We don't play around, sterilize and stuff. And we did that not because anyone told us we had to, but because we had such high standards for ourselves that we wanted to give our consumers the best product possible. And me and my daughter together, I think we just really complement each other well. And I'm just very thankful to have her as a part of the business. And I told her, I said, there's no breaking up. You ain't no breaking up. You ain't gonna leave me. I told her, I was like, you can't break up with me.
It is what it is, girl. It is what it is. But that's wonderful though. And I love partnerships like that. There is so much, you said in that. And I'm glad that you were able to, because I think as entrepreneurs, right, we're constantly learning, constantly going back to the drum room, we're constantly trying to perfect it and things like that. And I read something recently that, folks are more forgiving. And I mean, I've proven it's true to large corporations than they are to small business. Because like how many times have they messed up your food at Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, all of them. It's just like I said to my husband, it's just like every time. So I won't eat it for a very long time, for years. And then like sometimes you're on the road and things happen and you're like, I have to grab something. And every time I eat it, like I just don't feel good afterwards. It's not the guilt. It's just the food is like the other day,
It's
like
changed.
I had a chicken sandwich and it just wasn't cooked well. And I was like, dude, like, and I was so far away, didn't have time to go back. So I had to throw it away. But I really think about it, like people, I'm not the only one with that experience, right? So many people have bad experience with like fast food, but they keep going back. But if you go to a small restaurant and they mess up your food, I'm very weird about like if they mess up your food, girl, you ain't going back. You're gonna tell your mama,
Right.
your cousin, your friends, your auntie.
And I think there's a few things at play there. I think
It
it's
is.
psychology. I think it's convenient. Like people will. It goes back to the whole Jergens analogy. It's like convenience. I can go into the store easily and pick this up. Even if
Absolutely.
you can give me a whole sermon on why it's not good.
But you still gonna do
I'm
it.
still gonna do it because
Still gonna do it.
it's convenient, it's cheap, right?
That's it.
That's those two factors that are important to people. And then with the fast food restaurant, we're holding them to lower standards because they've been around forever, right? But behind the scenes, they're changing their recipes.
Absolutely.
They're putting the chicken that we're getting, the fast food chicken we're getting, it may or may not even be chicken.
Girl, let's
Man, yeah, right?
chicken.
We go. pieces of this conversation. You can see because oh my god. Well, okay, so yeah, all right. Let's get the oils and stuff. They fry our stuff in. It's just like we know because okay, so I need some sustenance.
We accept it.
No, but I need something right now. That little hole in the wall restaurant is not on the highway,
No.
So I'm not gonna remember what Dunkin' Donuts did to me, but I will remember with whoever that little mom
Suzanne's restaurant, Suzanne's Cafe.
Right.
Yeah, right.
They're holding them to higher standards. I posted this. This is so funny. I posted this yesterday on Facebook, and I said this. So I pay a lot of attention to geopolitics and stuff like that. I'm really into this stuff. I pay attention to stuff like this and how all these things are impacting different things. And I've been watching the economy for the last several years and stuff. And I'm always giving information that nobody asked for in my family.
Keep giving it.
It told me out. I'm gonna keep talking.
Keep talking, girl. Right. Somebody needs it.
But I said, it was a joke, but it was cloaked in information that it's an inside joke to Angel because I know what's going on, right? And everyone's talking about like, they're trying to get jobs and they're posting these jobs. But I heard 2 years ago, because I'm into geopolitics and stuff, I heard 2 years ago the companies are really failing. And what they're doing is they're posting jobs that they can't possibly ever, they have no intention of fulfilling, and they're doing it so the public doesn't know how bad the situation is. Where our country is in crisis. And that's why my expectations about pop-ups are, because I've been hearing this in the back of my head for 2 years. I've been hearing about how things are shifting. And the funny thing I posted on Facebook about Amazon was, I said, wow, Amazon really don't care no more, y'all. I don't know if you know, but they don't care. And here's how you know. Amazon has laid off thousands and thousands. They've closed up fulfillment centers where, they were flooding the market. People have stopped purchasing, and that's a very bad sign for the economy. Like, people aren't buying. I'm doing my part. I don't know about nobody else, but I've done my part. But
I know you're stopping, girl. Single-handedly.
I'm doing what I can.
I'll try
myself. It's for the business. It's for the business. As long as I throw in something,
stimulate the
this is what you do. You buy a few things, small measures of joy, and then you might throw something in there if there's a business related. But, whatever. So Amazon has gotten to the point they've checked out. They're doing it. You know how they used to put the air pillows and stuff. Like I said, I pay attention. So when they're packaging, right, to make sure your goods don't get damaged, they put what they call air pillows, things in there to cover up whatever, and they would put it in a box. Remember, Amazon used to over package, right? They're under packaging now. That's how you know things are getting. That's a to me, it's a sign, right?
Cost saving effects, yeah.
Oh yeah, right. So not only are they not putting the air pillows in, because Amazon was giving me so many of them, I didn't have to buy my own for my business when I would send out stuff because I have all these. They don't put them in there no more, honey. I don't care what you order. You can order fine china. You ain't gonna get it. You just not gonna get no air pillows. So, and then they stopped putting it in the white and blue package. They just raw dogging it. Like, they're leaving your package out naked, no cover, no nothing. Like, I ordered something. Okay, like, really? Just like just leave it. I wish I took a picture of it. I wish I brought it. It's literally a pocketbook in a plastic bag, laying on the stoop. I was like, wow, y'all giving that FedEx energy now. Like, just take it down the street. They're like, they don't come and get it or not. And then another sign I saw.
Okay.
And I know this is a fact because I again watch geopolitics. It's more expensive sometimes for Amazon and other companies to take returns than it is for them to let you keep it. So I ordered a mini tripod, and I thought that, because I don't know what happened to mine. So the tripod I thought I was ordering was supposed to have a camera, to be a camera adapter and a cell phone adapter. I don't know how to use my camera, so I just needed a tripod for my phone. And normally they have that attachment. And it was such a great deal. Now, this same tripod probably would have cost $39.99 at one point. It was $15. So I had to get it. I didn't realize it only had a piece for the camera. I could easily get me an adapter to go in there if I really wanted to. So anyway, I got it the same day that I did the return. You know, you process it. So I started the process to return this in the app. Do you know Amazon sent me an email? Your refund has been issued the same day. Now I've seen memes about this. Your your refund has been issued. You should see it in 3 to 5 days. Don't
So
bother. Don't even send that mess back. It's brand new, carrying case,
okay,
a real.
and they're like, we don't want it. Okay.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper to keep it.
It is
Like
cheaper to keep her.
I'm trying not to say it, but yeah, like that's to me, that's
Okay.
scary. That's when I see stuff like I'm like,
Yeah.
Amazon is struggling because they're not even putting it in the little packaging. Like where's the white and blue packaging?
Where's
It's
the
just
box?
laying on the
Yeah.
street. Like
Okay. I will say that the economy definitely is struggling,
mm,
and also, I mean, for the longest time, this is something that jobs that I worked, in leadership for so long. They do post jobs that they do not have any intention of filling
mhm,
because they want to show that like they have jobs, available. And then you'll see if you look at certain things, you'll see like most companies like they'll post they're hiring all these positions, and then the next day they have a massive layoff.
mhm,
So why are you laying off these
right.
people and then you're hiring like another set of people? So I'm always just like, whenever I looked at job and, now that I'm out there, like folks are coming at me now, and it's like, oh, like whatever. But then I look at your company profile, I'm like, you just laid off 10% of your workforce. Like
What's
Tesla's
going
about to
on?
lay off. Not that
Yeah.
I work for Tesla, but they're about to lay off 10% of their workforce or things like that.
Wow.
Because even though like, oh, Tesla's making billions, it's just like then you have
No,
to think
Tesla's
of
struggling
the thing. Well, they are. I mean, there's many factors, and Lord, I can't even get into all the
because this
things.
conversation gonna be somewhere else.
Like, let's not talk about them. It's like you see, but it's cost, right? And a lot of times it's the cost that goes into things. So sometimes again, it's like somebody says, "Oh, somebody's selling this for $20." And like, "Oh, that's a lot," but it costs them 25 to make the thing.
Produce it, right,
So
right,
so that's why you can't sell it for 20. You have to sell it for 30, and like you only make it like a five profit, and you're not even
right.
looking at your labor and and the thing that goes into it. So there
It's
is a lot of things that's going on in the economy. I mean, we can't lose hope. We've got to have faith,
right.
right?
We have to keep
And we've got
moving.
to
We have to keep.
innovate, and we have to continue to do different things, and
Whew.
try things.
Mhm.
I'm a
It
big
forces
believer
us
in
to be
trying.
like to be creative.
Yeah,
And
listen, when I had my first tea party, like I hadn't seen any tea party around. I just like, well, you know what? I love tea parties. Everybody was like, oh my God, you should invite me. Just had to have a tea party. Like the first tea party was amazing. I mean, so many people. And, since then it's kind of changed. But I really like the intimacy
right, right.
of the tea party. And I remember people was like, oh, tea party. I'm like, yep. And
Yep.
it's like, you gotta do different thing. It brings me joy. I love spending time with the women, that are there. And, in a couple of years, maybe tea party is going to be a thing of the past and brunch is going to be a thing of the past and something else is going to be but I think as business owners we have to consistently adapt, we have to
Hmm.
be flexible, we have to consistently go back to the drawing board and think about like how can I elevate my business, because ultimately your business is about you, but it's not about you, it's about your consumer, it's about your audience, your target
Right,
audience, because again, if you constantly put something out, it's not that you're going to change everything, but if you
hmm,
constantly put something out that nobody's buying and it's been, you have to think like, what is it? Is it the
right,
packaging?
right.
Is it the marketing? Like, what is it? Why are they buying it?
I love what you were saying about your tea party, right? Your tea party started based off of something that brought you joy,
Still does.
right? And
Yeah.
it's something so. And that really reminds me of my situation. I joke about this all the time. Like at pop-ups, like y'all don't gotta buy it.
No.
Because I have so like, and this is probably not a very wise business decision to say
Mm.
this or philosophy to have, because nobody in my household is ever lacking for hair or skincare.
Yeah.
People in my family, I don't always charge people, but
Mm.
my products and stuff.
Mm.
I have family who hasn't had to buy hair care or skin,
Mm.
in
Yeah.
in years,
Mm.
myself, so if people, yeah, it will be wonderful if it
Mm.
takes off. Be
But
wonderful. It'll be wonderful if, tea parties were the toast of the town. But if
mm.
people don't get on board, if it's something that brings you joy and lets you bask in femininity and have give other
Mm.
women the opportunity
Mm.
to dress up and
Mm.
to to enjoy each other's company and have a tea party, introducing little girls to things like when I was growing up playing tea party and stuff. That was a thing. These kids today don't even have that, in their hemisphere. They've never even heard of it. So introducing, maybe turning, maybe having a spin-off of tea parties for little girls, who are in foster care, teaching them about etiquette. There's so many ways that you can turn something like that and elevate it or evolve it into something else. And I look at that about my own self. It's like there's so many things that I do that bring me joy that are not gonna go viral. Perhaps they're not. They may not sell out, but it's something that I see a value in and that brings me joy, and that's why I'm able to do it. My cakes and cupcakes bring me joy, but it's not something I want to do full time. I will turn down cake orders. Like people like, oh my God, you're so good at it. The cakes are good. They're so creative, and it's just it's very different. And I have no desire to. It's joyful because it's at my leisure.
It's at exactly. And then
I'm not gonna be trying to
no,
like I'm Dunkin'
listen,
Donuts.
we could chat all day. I
Mm.
can't believe it's been over an hour.
Right.
And we haven't even touched the
Oh my
surface.
gosh. Oh
So,
my
girl,
gosh.
you got to come back on. Like, you may
I
have
would
a
love to.
podcast, like the podcast is on break, the show is still going, but you're going to have to come back on because, we've just chatted about so many
Wow.
wonderful things.
And all over that.
And listen, but that's the beauty of, the show. You
Right.
get to find out things. I mean, I learned the word awfulizer. I've never heard that word before in my life.
I got a million of them.
I
didn't make it up. I promise.
I am sure you do, but I mean, hey, do you, boo? I really truly admire your work ethics and your ability to consistently evolve and try to do new things and and do things that bring you joy and just be introspective. Really think about your awareness of the world and the people around you, and be intentional about putting out good vibes and doing good things. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for all that you do. And then I'm just going to have you wrap up, like, just how do you encourage entrepreneurs who are struggling to start their business right now? So we have 30 seconds to the elevator pitch, like, just
Right. So
encourage them.
the way I would encourage anyone considering to start a business is to ignore everything I said about the market. That's first. That's first. But if you take anything from anything I've said, find something that you're passionate about, right? Find something that you're passionate about. Don't try to take some other idea that you think could make you successful. Find something, because your passion and drive is going to get you through the ups and downs that come with entrepreneurship. So start with something that God has called you to or that you feel passionate about, and start with research. Research what other people are doing in that field. And if it's never been done before, figure out what it would take you to begin. So always start your passion projects or your business with research, having a solid foundation. And that doesn't mean that you got to create a business plan and you got to look at numbers and facts and figures. You just have to figure out, is this feasible for me? What would it take for me to do this? And then don't ever wait until you have all the things you think you need in your head or on paper to start. Start in a small way, just like I did. If I had to have all the ingredients and all the containers I needed, okay, when I get all this stuff amassed, then I can start. I didn't do that. I started with one or two products and I grew from there. Your business is an evolution. It's a part of you grow with your business. Your ideas grow, your level of expertise grows. So do not judge yourself as you start. It's how you will finish. You will get better. So don't be too critical on yourself. So basically start, write it down what you want to do, and then figure out one step to start and start.
All right, thank you so much. So that is very inspiring, Miss Angel Marie, who is just so innovative in the things that she does and constantly just looking at the shifting economy and trying to create pathway to build generational wealth for her and her family. So we appreciate her insights, and we'll definitely have her back on the show Want to thank you, the audience, for tuning in every week. We appreciate you. Don't forget that we have another live show at 5 o'clock today. At 5 o'clock, we'll have Anthony from True Robotics. We're going to shift in a different direction. We're going from skin and hair care to robotics. All right, little boys who never grow up. And also at 3 o'clock, I will be on Unity 97.9 for Black in Business. So please tune into Unity FM. I'll have another great guest on that show. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that God has given me to come before you and to highlight such phenomenal people in our community. And thank you to Paul Anderson, our executive producer, every week for making the magic happen. So until next time, this is Suzanne.
And this is Angel Marie.
Saying ta ta.